Chauvin, or some other pronunciation?
That's fine.
Yes, no? Is that a no? All right. Joanne, the Spokane campus?
Joanne's not here, not in today.
Glenn, the Spokane campus? Patricia, the Spokane campus? Naomi Lungstrom?
Oh, Naomi Lungstrom, I'm here.
Very good. Kay Meyer, who usually comes to this location, but sometimes a bit late, but so far not here.
Spokane's here now.
Okay, should I go through Spokane again?
Yes,
please.
please. We just came on.
Okay, Julie, Spokane? No. Naomi, Spokane? Chator? No. Joanne, Spokane? No. Glenn, Spokane? Patricia, Spokane?
Here.
Did you say here, Patricia?
Yes, present.
Let's see. Kay Meyer, I see Kay there.
Here.
Janet, Spokane?
Here. Here.
Kelly, Spokane? No Kelly? Corey, Spokane?
Here.
Amid, Spokane?
Yeah.
Who just came in, by the way? Who is that? Just so I mark him present. Okay, it's not Amid anyway. Bin, Spokane? No Bin, Spokane. Robin? Oh, Bin is in Tri-Cities, actually. No Bin, Tri-Cities?
Yes.
Yes, is Bin here?
This is Robin. I'm on the phone in Tri-Cities.
So Ben is on the phone, and this is Robin. All right.
Sorry,
Okay.
this is Robin. I'm not on the campus, so I'm not sure about Ben.
All right. John in Vancouver?
Present.
Present. Elizabeth, Vancouver?
Here.
Shameen, Vancouver?
Yep.
Susan, Vancouver. And I see
Hello.
Susan back there. Hello. Renee, Vancouver?
I'm here.
John Vancouver. No?
Yes.
Yes?
You've already called my name.
Oh, no, that was John Barber in Vancouver.
That's John.
I'm here.
Okay, so now I see. You're listed twice. What do you know?
I'm that sort of person, yes.
He's kind of a big guy, you know?
Nick in Yakima? No. Brian in Pierce.
I am on the phone.
Very good. And Timothy in Franklin.
Yes, I'm here.
Very good. All right. Do we have a quorum? We do. Very good. All right.
Hi,
then.
this is Salah Ahmed. Did you add my name?
And what is your name? I'm
from
sorry.
Spokane.
And what's your name
This
again?
is Salah Ahmed from Spokane.
Ahmed. You said Ahmed, right?
Ahmed, last name Ahmed. A-H-M-E-D.
Gotcha.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Jeanette? This is Steve Bolins in Vancouver. I'm not sure where I fit in on the list, but I'm here in any event.
I'll add you to the list, Steve. Maybe we can include you on it in the future.
Whoa, that sounds promising.
Welcome, everyone. All right, so I call the meeting to order, and our first item of business is approval of the October 4th meeting minutes. Are there any additions or changes to the minutes? Hearing none, the meetings are approved. The minutes are approved. We now go to the announcements. The first of the announcements are the information items. Again, these are kind of fait accompli, so they're just there really for your information. Next, we go on to the reports. And we have a number of reports today, none of them very long though. You'll be happy to hear. First, just a word from me. Just something that I thought you might not know that you might like to know, which is, did you know you could make motions in here not related to our agenda items? I view this as one of the democratic centers of the university. A place where we really vote on things, a place where we get to decide. Well, you may not feel that because you may feel, hey, it's all laid out already. I just get to say yay or nay. And for most of the meeting, that is true. But our parliamentarian, David Turnbull, tells me that you can make motions off of the agenda, and if you ever wish to do so, you should do that in the constituent concern section of the meeting. So the power is in your hands. You want to change something, you want something done, you can propose it as a motion, and the Senate can consider it. David, please.
Yeah, if I can add to that. You must understand that the Senate really only has jurisdiction over curricular issues. The Senate's other job is to act in an advisory role to the central administration when the administration wants input. So while you can make motions, there is a certain limit to what you can try to do. For instance, to make a motion to set a limit on parking rate fees would be out of order, okay? Just so you know.
But so, in other words, our purview is academics, right? That's the part of the university we control, although much of what we do in that regard is a recommendation to the president. But in regards to what is our area, you can certainly make your own motions. So I just wanted you to know that. All right. Now, a new feature, an important new feature of Senate this year is for the first time, we have a non-voting member on the Board of Regents. And that member this year is our past chair, Judy McDonald. And we've already had one meeting of the Board of Regents, so Judy is going to take a little time to tell us about that meeting, because the point of all of this is better communication between us and the Board of Regents, so that they shouldn't be some abstract entity we know nothing of.
Sorry, just kidding. So I'm going to expand my purview a little bit on today's talk. One of the things that I've been really concerned about is making sure we have faculty voices on various entities that make important decisions about the university. So one of the things that I've been doing is, you want to hear me for real? Thank you, Dave. Yeah, when I start doing something really goofy, it's good if you tell me. My students are trained to tell me when I've completely gone off the rail. So I'm going to start. I have been sitting as a member on the search committee for the Dean of Students and academic vice president associate vice president student affairs. We are bringing 3 people to campus. So if you just Google WSU student affairs, and at least I'm not yelling, honest. Go to the Student Affairs website, go to About Us, and if you see there's a Leadership Searches section, and we are hiring an Associate VP and Dean, and you'll notice that there's a section for faculty and staff presentations that are on Monday and Wednesday afternoons. In the discussion around the table, I don't think faculty were even on the radar. When we got into the interviews, faculty and grad students really stood out as 2 groups that would like to be interacting with the new Dean of Students and AVP. And so we worked really hard to impress the people we're bringing in for interviews that were important. And if they go to a room and there's no faculty in it, it's not going to look very good for us. So I hope you and some of your colleagues will come out to the interviews on the 24th, 29th, and 5th. Next up, I will talk about, I think it's been important to have a faculty voice on that committee. I got invited to the committee late in the game, so at the stage where we're inviting interviews. So wherever we can, we're trying to make sure there's a faculty voice in the room. So onto the Board of Regents. We had a bill go partway through the legislature last year to try and put a voting faculty member on the Board of Regents. It got hung up partway through, at which point in time we approached our president, Kirk, and asked if he would ask the Board of Regents if we could have a seat at the table, a non-voting ex officio seat at the table. They said yes, so we're trying that out. So I want to introduce you to our Board of Regents. And again, it's pretty easy to get our Board of Regents on Google. Just do WSU Board of Regents. And get to their webpage. And if you scroll down a little bit, there's lots of different headings you can look under. I'm going to start under the More, and under the More we have some regent profiles. So this is our current set of Board of Regents. Mike Worthy will be moving off shortly, and the governor will appoint a new regent. So these are people who are appointed by the governor. I'm going to highlight 2 people, and I picked 2 people that I thought represented quite different entities. Scott Carson, if you read this profile, I'm not sure if it's big enough. He's been in the leadership of Boeing for most of his career. He recently retired. One of the reasons I wanted to pick Scott Carson is he likes to brag that he has 11 grandchildren. 10 are Cougs, and the other one's too young. And so when I look at our Board of Regents and I look at the commitments at WSU, I think Scott really exemplifies it in that all of his grandkids have come to WSU. So Boeing, high-level businessman, CEO. In contrast, we also have Brett Blankenship. And Brett farms out near Washtenaw. And he's a farmer that's been very active on the political scene. He's been involved in the National Wheat Board. He's been involved in state decisions about farming, Family Farm Bill, and pretty, what's the word I want to say? Pretty modern. He's looking at what are the new varieties of wheat coming up. Can we grow canola in Washtenaw, and what are the issues? And so we've got a really diverse board. What I would like to say is they really care about WSU. They see a lot of their job, they see their job as twofold. What's going on inside of WSU that we want to foster or improve? And what's our image outside of WSU? So lots of discussions about how does this reflect on WSU? What are our alumni going to think? What are our donors going to think? What are the granting agencies going to think when they see this? So one of the things that really resonated, they talked about the drive to 25. And most of us kind of sometimes feel like the drive to 25 is being asked to do more with less. The way the Board of Regents see the drive to 25 is having a slogan that helps us all by showing that we're a university that's on the move, that we're a university that's improving, that when NSF is choosing panel chairs, maybe they should think about us as panel chairs because we're from an institute that's growing. So I think one of the things they asked me to pass on to you was the fact that our external image being positive in any way that it can be is really valuable for all of us in the institution. Okay, so the meeting itself. So on the webpage, you'll see here we have meeting dates. And if you pull that down, we'll scroll down to 2018. So the meeting I was at was the September meeting in 2018. So if you click, it says notice, but if you click on notice, in about 2 weeks from now, the next meeting will be up. It has all the committee meetings. So I was on the Research and Academic Affairs Committee. And for example, if you look at bullets 1, 2, and 3, I believe they went through Senate last spring. So for example, HERC was something they talked about in length. And if you want to see what portion, how it compares to what we saw when we voted on these things, you can click on any of those links and get the full information. So HERC, I'll give HERC as my example. HERC was discussed in the committee meeting, and it will go to the full Board of Regents when the Board of Regents meets here in November. Another example was there's a Finance and Compliance Committee. And for example, you can go in and look at the materials that we reviewed. You can go open and look at the athletic budget and the proposed athletic budget. So anybody can go in, anybody can attend the meetings. You won't necessarily be, just like us, anybody can attend our Senate meeting, but the chair does not have to give non-senators the floor. Same thing is true here. You can attend any portions of the meetings you want. A couple other things that I thought would be interesting for senators. So on the Thursday, we have committee meetings all day, and different people are invited in to give presentations, and we have some committee action items. Then on the next day, on the Friday morning, is the official Board of Regents meeting where there are action items. So for example, in this meeting, one of the things that I wanted to highlight is they reviewed, President Schultz had to do a list of goals, a write-up on his goals and objectives, and it was reviewed and discussed by the board and then approved. So that's another, I think that's an interesting one to go look at, right? To go see what goals our president sent to the regents. So going back to the main page with the meeting dates, I want you to notice the November 15 and 16 meeting is in Pullman. Sometime in the next 3 weeks, there'll be a red notice here. You can click on that notice and see what's going to be discussed at the different meetings, where they are, what time they're at. They're public meetings, anybody can go. What's different for me is I actually get to sit at the table with the regents. I get to go to all the events around the Board of Regents meeting and hear all the discussions. Do people have questions? Thank you.
All right, something else that we're hoping for this year, we're going to work on this year, is developing more of a sense of being one university with multiple campuses. And for that, we're hoping to develop a stronger sense of the point of view of the other campuses and what's going on with the other campuses. So we have brief reports from two of our faculty from Vancouver today. The first one by Susan Finley. Now, these are both people from Vancouver, because today our focus is on the Vancouver campus. And the second from Mike Berger, who is actually with us here. So let's start with Susan Finley, and I'm hoping, as I understand it, Gail, we are going to get a full-screen view of Susan. Is that correct? So, Susan,
That's a scary thought.
take it away. We don't have a full-screen view of you yet, by the way. You're just an image
worries.
way back.
Okay, so in the way of introduction, I'm a professor in the College of Education, and I teach in both the education and the public policy program here in Vancouver. As an education professor in particular, I teach on all campuses. So I have one class right now, for instance, where I'm teaching on 7 campuses. So that happens fairly often. The purpose of my comments is to add to the Senate representatives' understanding of the university at large, that is, WSU as a multi-campus entity, by looking at and describing faculty governance from the Vancouver point of view. In doing so, I hope to highlight differences in history, experiences, and approaches to faculty governance that distinguish the Vancouver campus maybe from some other campuses, including Pullman. Thus, in my position as the at-large senator from Vancouver, I'm elected to do 3 things simultaneously. This seat is simultaneously elected to represent the campus at large and have voting rights in the Senate, Senate Steering, and the CFR. CFR, or the Council of Faculty Representatives, is an elected body of representatives of all academic units on the Vancouver campus. We underwent a name change to CFR about 2 years ago. We may be in our 3rd year now. We have been, had been for many years, the Faculty Organization Executive Committee, FOEC. So some of you may be more familiar with that name. CFR having replaced it, the name has changed, but the purpose of campus level local faculty governance remains the same. In any event, we have in Vancouver faculty governance at 2 distinct levels. We enjoy local governance at the campus level and university governance through the Faculty Senate. The Faculty Senate position I hold is somewhat newly conceived in the historical scheme of things, yet it has evolved to about where it is now across a full decade. Most specifically, the position includes that voting voice in those 3 bodies, Senate, Senate Steering, and CFR, and that's what differentiates it from other positions. Greg Rose formerly held the position, many of you are familiar with him, and I was long-term chair of what was then the FOEC, now comes CFR. And during that time, Greg guided us to an expanded position to assure the Vancouver representation on Senate Steering in particular, and to the inclusion of Vancouver representatives in numerous Senate committees. So now, Vancouver faculty serve on multiple important committees in Faculty Senate. We're represented on Academic Affairs, Budget, Catalog Committee, the Committee on Committees, Faculty Affairs, Graduate Studies, Legislative Representation for all campuses, Library, Professional Health Sciences, and Research and the Arts. There are at least 18 members of these major committees, And 2 of the committees are chaired by Vancouver faculty. Greg Rose is chair of budget, and Alex Dmitriev is co-chair of graduate studies. And then, of course, we have the legislative rep for all campuses, Stephen Bolins, on the Vancouver campus, as well as college reps who reside in Vancouver, and at least 2 of those are here today. So that's kind of the body at large of representation to that larger faculty senate connection that exists, kind of coexists with the CFR, and we have a position in each of those places. In addition, under Judy McDonald's leadership as faculty senate chair, we have recently expanded to include 2 new senate representation positions, one for tenure-line faculty and one for non-tenure-line faculty representation. And these new positions further expand the diversity of voice from Vancouver, assuring that we now have 3 faculty reps while maintaining a position in steering with 1 vote, and that we maintain many of these participatory roles across committees, even as we expand these formal offices of representation. So recognizing and maintaining channels of communication is one of the more difficult aspects of the multi-campus system in general, and in particular in this instance, faculty governance across multiple campuses, and trying to do that with and kind of knowing who and when and where and how to communicate. In Vancouver, we've been working toward something. What that something is, a system that assures faculty who are otherwise than Pullman that we're duly represented in the established system of faculty governance, that is the faculty senate, and at the same time that we maintain faculty input at the campus level, having to keep both of those things alive at once. One obvious item in the communication stream is AMS, as I see some kind of a picture of Vancouver up there. And Vancouver's presence at regular meetings and Senate steering and Senate committees is dependent on that AMS system, and that it's easily available and it works all the time, because anytime it's down, we're not included. So we're kind of big on pushing all of that. It is also dependent upon all of us in Faculty Senate being aware how AMS works in terms of time delays and getting attention of the group when you want to add comments from far away. Do you wave? Do you holler? What is the protocol? And so on. I would also like to take the opportunity of establishing that a reminder then to all the committees and all the campuses and all of you elected reps that if you have a decision or a consideration that impacts a particular committee or the Vancouver campus, that you think about that communication piece and get with us. On that note, and presentation time is flying fast, so I'll close here. I invite anyone with an issue or concern that impacts Vancouver to send me an email. You could send it to my fellow reps, but if it's easier, just remember one name, you can send it to me. And for my part, I'll be happy to guide your issue through our local governance or find the right people on campus or in the Faculty Senate. And the more examples we have, the surer we will become in establishing more tried and true lines of communication. Now we have the positions, now we have to be more diligent to create these lines of communication across the multiple campuses. And at that point, I'm going to turn it over to Michael Berger, who is the chair of CFR, and he'll provide information about local campus governance. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, this is the part where you want to cross your fingers that technology doesn't fail. And it never fails, right?
Here's your mic.
Oh, thank you. Just plug this in. Cool. Okay, so give me just 1 second here to see if I can make this work, and if it works, fantastic, and if it doesn't work, then we'll make it work. We'll see if I can do this. Laptop connection. Am I doing this right? Or what am I doing wrong, I should say? Oh, did I? Did I click on laptop connection? Is that there? Okay, perfect.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. Awesome, thanks. Okay, so I guess a quick introduction. So my name is Mike Berger. I am the chair of the Council of Faculty Representatives on the Vancouver campus. I have a clinical faculty line in the School of the Environment and the School of Biological Sciences. So first off, thanks so much for inviting me to speak this afternoon. I'm really thrilled about the opportunity to get a chance to talk with everyone. And I've put together a really brief presentation. What I really want to do is just talk a little bit about what CFR is. And when I refer to CFR, I'm referring to the Council of Faculty Representatives. I want to talk a little bit about what CFR is, the makeup, the structure, the mission, and then talk a little bit about some of our focus this year. But the real context, the real thing that I really want to focus on and stress, and Jeanette mentioned this as well, is I really want to think about, how can we all work together to really move shared governance forward as a system? And hopefully we begin to see that there are some similarities in what CFR does, that Faculty Senate does as well, in terms of not necessarily direct duplication of work, but we share a lot of similar roles and similar missions. And I think there's a lot of ways that we can continue to work together and to really promote shared governance. Just super brief history. The CFR and faculty governance, I should say, on the Vancouver campus was founded around 2001. It's gone through a number of iterations and changes and restructuring. The current structure has elected members. So similar to Faculty Senate, there are elected members in the council in CFR. The members are elected from each of the campuses each of the colleges that are represented on the Vancouver campus. And each representative serves for 2 years. And the number of representatives is proportional to the number of faculty. As an example, the College of Arts and Sciences on the Vancouver campus has about roughly 80 faculty, and that translates to about 4 representatives. Generally, most of the colleges are smaller and have generally 1 representative per college. But what it does is it provides broad diversity and broad perspective across all the different colleges on the Vancouver campus. CFR wouldn't function without the collective work of everyone. And so I really want to acknowledge all the different representatives in CFR and all the different colleges. And so as you can see, we represent across business encounters and CAS, education, engineering, library, nursing, and our Vancouver faculty senator, which also has a voting seat on CFR, and that's Susan's role. As I'm going through all this, if you have any questions, if you want further clarification, if you want to have more of a discussion, please ask. I'm very, very happy and would entertain any questions. It doesn't have to be me just talking for the entire 10-ish minute slot. So do feel free to interrupt. I think it's a lot more fun and engaging to have a conversation.
I have a question, Mike.
Oh yeah, sure. Judy.
How do you decide who's eligible to be on the CFR? Like if someone just comes in and teaches one class and goes home, are they eligible?
No, so the question is, Judy asked, how do you determine eligibility in CFR? Who can be a CFR representative? We have this all documented in our bylaws, and the rule is, or the criteria is, that you have to be a full-time, you have to be greater than 49% faculty. So any faculty line, it can be instructor line, clinical line, or tenure track line, are all eligible to be CFR representatives, but you have to be greater than 49%. And that just makes it so that you can't just come in, teach a course, and then fill into that role. So it's a good question. Oops. Remove obstacles. I just pasted in CFR's mission. And what I really want to stress in this mission statement are really the last sentence and a half, where it focuses on participation in shared governance with the WSU Vancouver administration. And that's the local component. So we're very rooted in working with or communicating with, acting as a bridge with the Vancouver administration, and being a faculty voice with the Vancouver administration. But there's much more to WSU than just one campus, right, or a system. And so I think it's also really important to stress that that part of CFR's role is also participating with the WSU administration. And I think that's a really important thing to note is that faculty on the Vancouver campus really want to collaborate and to interact with faculty on all other campuses. And so we really don't see ourselves as an isolated campus trying to work on our own. We really do want to collaborate and interact. So I would encourage everyone, reach out to your colleagues on the Vancouver campus or the Tri-Cities campus or any of the other campuses. Everyone really wants to interact and participate. In terms of the role of CFR, again, we're really this bridge between faculty in the Vancouver campus, or between faculty on the Vancouver campus and the WSU administration. And we do this through a number of mechanisms. One, just in terms of the structure of CFR, we meet twice a week or twice a month, similar to Faculty Senate. But one difference is one of the meetings involves all of the faculty, or at least all of the faculty are invited to participate in and have a discussion about a specific topic or a theme or something that is important during that particular semester. As an example, last semester, the theme and focus was when Judy as chair visited. And we had a really great discussion about some of the things that were going on in Faculty Senate at the time. CFR, is in direct communication with the Vancouver administration. So the CFR chair meets on a regular basis with both the Vice Chancellor of Academic Affairs and the Chancellor. And that's a way to directly communicate information and concerns to the upper administration and have the upper administration also relay information back to the faculty. But we also kind of view this not only as just, as just local in terms of the chair interacting with administration and administration coming to and visiting and speaking with CFR. We also see this, see our role as a system-wide faculty governance body, or at least wanting to interact system-wide. And we do this through meetings with both the president and the provost. And we've been at least for the past couple of years, meeting annually with both the president and the provost. And that's a really great mechanism to think about kind of larger scale system issues that often have a Vancouver-specific focus. And so it's a great way to have that sort of level of interaction. And also historically, at least for the past, I think 4 or so chairs of Faculty Senate, there's been an open invitation at least once per year to come down and speak with CFR, and that's worked out really great. Judy came last year, Jeanette already came this year, and so we've had I think a really good working relationship in that sense. And that ties back into that very last point of the mission, which is shared governance with the WSU Faculty Senate. And so we see that also as a valuable parallel in terms of working together. And I do want to ask Jeanette, how long do we have until? Just so I don't want to.
I have a couple more minutes.
Okay, cool. And then we have some time for questions, correct? Okay, perfect. Cool. One thing that CFR does, and this is kind of parallel or analogous to the Committee on Committees, is populate committees on the Vancouver campus and also in Faculty Senate. And elsewhere in the university when called upon. So we act in that role as well to nominate faculty into different committee roles. Another thing we do as well, and I think this is a really important thing to talk about, and this is something I'd love to continue on conversations with at some point, is curricular review. Probably everyone has seen this flow chart, right? It's whoever put it together, it's a fantastic flow chart, right? It's really complex. It's lots of different interconnections. But what it does, it just outlines the pathway for any sort of curricular change process, new degrees, things of that sort. So everyone's probably seen this. When proposals originate on the Vancouver campus, there's a different it's not a different process per se, but there's an extra step added before it ends up at the provost phase. And that extra, that added step is something that CFR is involved in. And it to some degree runs analogous to the process in the Faculty Senate stage. What I've done here on the left-hand side is just sort of tried to simplify that flow chart. And what I've done on the left-hand side is just, again, very simplified flow of the process through the Pullman and where it goes from the original development of the NOI to the provost office, back again, to the proposal writer and the chair, back to the provost office, and then to faculty senate, where it runs through all the different committees in faculty senate. When proposals originate on the Vancouver campus, the first step, which kind of runs parallel to what would happen at the provost office, is that the vice chancellor of academic affairs works with the academic director who's developing the proposal, puts together the NOI. That goes to the provost phase or the provost office. It goes through the same level of review that happens when something originates on the Pullman campus. It then goes back to the vice chancellor of academic affairs with comments and feedback. A full proposal is developed. That full proposal then gets sent from the vice chancellor of academic affairs to CFR. And then CFR reviews the proposal through an internal process of sending the proposal out to the CFR academic affairs subcommittee who reviews it. They send their feedback back to CFR. CFR invites the author of the proposal to give a 30-minute presentation to talk about the proposal. CFR then reviews it, discusses it, and then can either send the proposal back for revisions, which is what that little, I don't know if I can jump that high, but that little dotted arrow up there sends it back to the proposal author for more revisions. It then goes back to the vice chancellor of academic affairs, then to CFR, and then CFR votes on it, and then forwards it back through the vice chancellor of academic affairs to the provost and to faculty senate. CFR also communicates with the faculty senate chair, which is what this dashed arrow represents. One thing that I tried to work on last year a little bit was trying to think about how can we remove some of the duplication in this process, because I think when these proposals get to faculty senate, a lot of review has gone into them and a lot of input has happened. And really what I want to do is reduce some of the workload for the catalog subcommittee and for a graduate committee and for academic affairs. And so with the changes in the committee structure last year, there are Vancouver representatives on both the graduate, catalog, and academic affairs. And that means that those individuals are familiar with the review process that happened earlier and can help move that process through the faculty senate committees, hopefully with a little bit hopefully with a little less work on the committee's end because of the review that's been done previously. Okay. We have a few minutes for questions? Good. Okay. So why don't I stop there? The other thing I'll just mention real briefly is one focus that CFR is working on this year is doctoral education. And we're really kind of trying to think about, how can we increase participation in doctoral education on the Vancouver campus, which is probably something that everybody thinks about on all campuses. But we're trying to think about it, specifically on the Vancouver campus. What can we do to make access to graduate students, particularly doctoral students, more easy? Okay. Does anybody have any questions, comments, things you'd like to hear more about? Silence, I always tell the students, silence always scares me, just a tiny bit. No question seems to make it seem too easy. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, this is Robin from Tri-Cities. I couldn't hear very well. Is it okay if I ask or have a quick comment?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm also the recorder for the resident faculty organization on the Tri-Cities campus. And I'm going to send you an email and just comment that I appreciate your presentation and thank you for sharing. I second what you have to say about reaching across and making sure that we're represented campus, or not campus-wide, university-wide, and that's really great. So thank you.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Robin. And on my list of things to do, and it's a great, I appreciate you reaching out. On my list of things to do was to get in touch with you, because I think there's a lot of communication and a lot of interactions that we can have between Vancouver and Tri-Cities along with Faculty Senate and Pullman. So I think we should all try to put more effort into that.
I think that'd be great.
Cool. All right, cool, awesome. I'm excited. We'll get in touch.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Cool. All right, thanks.
Thank you so much, Mike. All right. We will now, my next question is, are there additions or changes to the agenda? Hearing none, we will move on with the action items. First is the recommendation from the Graduate Studies Committee to approve Graduate Major Change Bulletin number 2. And is Doug or Alex is here? Alex is here if you have any questions. All right. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. The item is approved. The recommendation is approved. Next, the recommendation from the Graduate Studies Committee to approve the revised PhD in Material Sciences and Engineering. And once again, Alex is here to answer your questions. Hearing none? All in favor of the recommendation, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The motion passes. Next, recommendation from the Graduate Studies Committee to approve a new subject prefix in biomedical physiology and technology for graduate coursework in the College of Veterinary Medicine. And again, Alex is here to answer any questions you may have.
Question from Kay Meyer in Spokane, excuse me.
Yes,
So,
Kay.
question this, if you look at Exhibit N2, it's a little bit confusing. It talks about changing the program name from veterinary sciences to biomedical sciences. And then it also talks about changing the plan name and the prefix, which seems to be up for vote now. So I'm a little confused because it said that the program name was supposed to be changed first and then the plan name. But as far as I can see, we haven't considered the program name before. So I'm not quite sure what we're considering today.
Alex, can you cast some light on this?
Hi, Kate. This is Doug Call. So my understanding from Dr. Samasco is that the biomedical physiology technology course prefix is being introduced early as a cross-listing mechanism to start the process to move towards the plan name. And that's the graduate plan or the graduate program, how we want to define the same idea, which will ultimately be changed from Integrated Physiology and Neuroscience graduate program to the Biomedical Physiology and Technology graduate program, although the unit's going to maintain the IPM name. But the graduate program will eventually change to BPT. Now that change will go under the PBS, the Program of Biomedical Sciences, overall name change for the entire college, which is still in the Provost's office. This is mentioned here, but it is not part of what was approved to the Graduate Studies Committee. All that we have done here is asked to approve, they are asking us to approve the introduction of the BPT prefix. It will ultimately just be cross-listed with existing courses and possibly used for the introduction of an additional topics course. He said,
Okay, thank you. It seems like the two proposals go together, though. So the reason I'm bringing this up in part is because I've talked to several administrators here in Spokane, both in medicine and in pharmacy, and they're concerned that this hasn't been fully discussed, particularly the program name change. And they feel like it's very important that we get this straight, since biomedical sciences is very important in the drive to 25 campus-wide. And we do have a Department of Biomedical Sciences here in Spokane in the College of Medicine already. So we want to make sure that we get this right. So I've been asked by chairs of the two departments here to move that this be tabled for further discussion at the college level until we can make sure everyone's on the same page.
That'd be great, Kate. If what would be helpful is if I can contact you to help facilitate the right communications for Dr. Samasco. He has been communicating with folks up there, as he's told me, but obviously he hasn't gotten to everywhere he needs to be.
Okay, I'd be happy to do
Yes,
that.
no, I was thinking of that. What seems to be in order is referring this motion back to committee for further discussion.
Yes, that's correct.
What did you say? Are you all right with that, Kay? Would that make sense, Kay?
Yes, I'd like to move that occur, yes.
We approve and
Do I hear a second?
Yes, perfect.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion passes. So this recommendation will go back to the Graduate Studies Committee for further discussion, to be returned to us at a later time. All right. Moving on to 4, recommendation from the Graduate Studies Committee to approve the revised graduate certificate in systems engineering management. And again, Alex is here to answer any questions. Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The recommendation passes. Recommendation from the Academic Affairs Committee to approve undergraduate major change bulletin 3. And Casey is here to answer any questions. Hearing none, all in favor of this recommendation say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The recommendation passes. Recommendation from the Academic Affairs Committee to approve the revision of Rules 80 and 81, scheduling all common examinations and scheduling out-of-class examinations. Casey is here to answer any questions.
Matt Carroll, School of the Environment in Connors. I just noticed that there were several places where the changes proposed seem to switch actions from may to must. And I'm wondering, I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to that, but I'm wondering what the rationale is for, this looks to be a tightening up of rules.
That's exactly what it was. I think this was the intent. The intention was must, but with the may, it left it a bit vague, like there was some wiggle room, and so it's just tightening up to make it that there's not.
So have there been problems? Could you briefly describe what the problems might have been?
I'm gonna have to defer to Becky on that.
There was a instructor who contacted the provost office who was adamant that the May gave that person the flexibility to schedule a block examination outside of the schedule that you see there.
I see, okay.
And so, anyway, and that's really not how we can serve our students. They have to have these scheduled.
I understand, thank you.
Thank you.
And I think it's also just trying to put like where the accommodation had to come from if there was an issue.
Any further questions or comments? All in favor of the recommendation, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Aye.
Recommendation from the Professional Health Sciences Committee to approve Professional Health Sciences Major Change Bulletin number 1. And John is here? Yes? Do we have a John? This is a new committee, and perhaps the committee chair does not realize he needs to attend committee meetings. Well, are there any questions about this recommendation? If there are, we may have to table this without John here to tell us about it. If we do not have any questions, I suppose the motion can possibly pass. Are there any questions about this recommendation? All in favor of the recommendation to approve major change bulletin number 1, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Recommendation from the Professional Health Sciences Committee to approve proposal to extend the final grade deadline for ESF COM. Any questions about this recommendation? All in favor say aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Aye. Discussion items. Recommendation from the Graduate Studies Committee to approve graduate major bulletin number 3. And Alex is here to answer your questions. All in favor? Oh, it's a discussion item. We do not vote on it. Very good. Recommendation from the Graduate Studies Committee to approve the revised graduate certificate in project management. And again, if there are any questions, Alex is here. Recommendation from the Graduate Studies Committee to approve the revised certificate in education technology across the disciplines. Any questions? Alex will answer. And last, recommendations from the Academic Affairs Committee to approve undergraduate major change bulletin number 4. Casey Hildebrand can answer any questions you may have. Yes.
I did have a question about the course title in this one. It seems like a really small thing. The title is Plagiarism Jungle, Understanding the Relationship Between Culture, Language, and Academic Integrity. My understanding is this is like a plagiarism class geared toward the needs of international students based on the description, and I'm not sure that, at least when I first read this, I felt like perhaps jungle was not the best word to use in that description just because of some historic associations with jungle and colonialism and racial stereotypes that we might not want to have in course geared toward international students.
Thank you for that observation, Senator Jones. Casey?
We can communicate back with the program that did that and raise those concerns and
So I assume this doesn't have to be referred back to committee since it is simply a discussion item and it will be discussed further in committee in light of this astute observation on the part of Senator Jones. Very good. Next we go to constituent concerns. Do we have any constituent concerns today? We've got a list of them on the website, and we're paying attention to them, and we have a meeting with the president and the provost next Tuesday. So, hey, if there's anything you'd like us to discuss in these meetings, please put it on constituent concerns or express it now, and we will definitely bring it to the attention of the president and the provost.
Hi, this is Glenn in Spokane. Can you just briefly tell us what the whole voting procedure is about? I noticed there was an icon and a mechanism to vote for these different constituent concerns, and I wasn't really clear on the purpose of that.
Well, that, as I understand it, Greg is the expert here, but as I understand it, that way we can tell whether a particular issue is important to many of you or if it's a more individual concern. So naturally, if an issue is important to many of you, we want to really make sure to represent that to the president. Whereas if it's an individual concern, well, we might want to communicate with that individual about it, but we'd have to then assess whether we want to bring it to the attention of the president and the provost. Although, of course, the president said he would respond to all these issues. But that's as I understand, the reason for your votes.
Thank you.
If it seems important to you, hey, click it, right? And then we'll know that. No other constituent concerns today? Then I just adjourned the meeting, right? Then the meeting is adjourned. Go ahead and enjoy this beautiful afternoon.